time for a break yet or not? I've decided that there actually does need to be a breakdown here. And this would be a good place to use the play. So just to play something minimal, spooky, I don't know. Something dumb. Let's turn it down a bit. I have no idea what kind of patch I'm looking for, but instrument, drum, pad, I guess. Let's go with pad. It's actually pretty cool. Bit dry for this, but we can fix that. Nope. Nope. Sorry, Carl. Cool sound, but not what I'm looking for. Maybe. Carl Cox is really into these pads. Okay, so let's try this one. See if we can make it a bit less direct, maybe. See what happens. Meh. So let's have a go with this one. Classic house sound. Haven't changed much. A little bit of chorus. Made the attack and release really slow. Haven't actually touched the cutoff. I don't think I need to. Nah, it was fine. Drive's alright. Kind of depends on what kind of sound we're gonna go for. Maybe just try something out first. Right, so what I've decided to do after a lot of messing around with the arrangement and the sounds, especially with the sounds actually, I've decided to tune the intro down a lot, like 6 semis, because the bass note that I moved to the front was in something completely different, like a B flat, and the kick drum is in E, which is very low, but I actually wish I could bring it up to an F or something, but it just sounds best on an E, so I'm leaving it on an E. You guys without subwoofers, I'm sorry, you're not going to hear the bass, but yeah, so I tuned the intro bells, the xylophone, to an E as well, and then what I'm going to do is I have this. So what I'm going to do is the play sound. What is it? Something like that, and just freestyle it into the break. Play the same melody, like a look back to the intro, and then it should fit. So I'm just gonna freestyle that in. Probably not that last low note. That's a bit too low, I think. That's probably cooler. Let's see if that works. yeah, I guess that's it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna mess around with the MIDI or not. Maybe a little bit. I intentionally left it kind of sloppy. Yeah, something like that, I guess. Maybe mix it a bit better, but yeah, that should fill it up a bit. I've used the play as well, which I wanted to do. Thank you, Marshall Jefferson, for your classic house sound. And yeah, let's get back to the arrangement. Alright, so that's the break done, the second break. I've decided to make it like 6 blocks instead of 8 because it just flowed better. I didn't want to stretch it out too long. So now there's a nice little build up again with some new sounds, some variations, so it's not the same as the first time. With a human embryo. On a human embryo. And then I wanted to like drop crazy for a little bit, just with the same bass sound, I think, the same percussion, but I'm gonna go into Loopcloud and see if I can use some crazy kind of rhythm and see what happens. Right, so I have no idea if this is gonna work or not, but I opened the session with a kick drum in it that I used to make the rhythm that we've been hearing underneath the whole track. I opened some other patterns, not the clave pattern from before, but there are lead patterns. So this is a drum and bass lead. So you hear those pitches as well. You can do that by hand. You can use this tool to pitch whatever you want. So these presets, these rhythm presets, have actually been made for like synths and stuff, and well, leads obviously. But yeah, this is what happens if you put them on this kick drum sound, which makes no sense. Which is why we're doing it. With effects in there as well. But the one that stood out to me was, I think, Trap Lead 1, this one. Pretty basic, as the drop 1. I don't have a though, because I ran out of the sounds, so I think there was one there was a voice in the drum plugin. I don't know if it's strong enough for that, but I could check it out. Anyway, so I'm gonna make this twice as long. I have no idea if this is cool or not. You might see the pattern here. I have no idea what I'm doing, actually, ever. Processed version to the kick track. So maybe this? And maybe add some dramatic offbeat drumming on top. Let's try it out. Trying to get something useful out of the shit. Let's see if I can turn this into something that could work. Try. That's a start. Why am I looking for such a cliche sound? I don't know, but it's fun. Attack. That might work. Compression or something. Put lots of drive on it. What? There's a lot in there. I don't know. Is it dumb? Probably. It's probably dumb. I don't know. Sorry. I think if I'm gonna use it, then I should not be apologetic about it. In the mix, I mean, I am apologetic about it. I feel very bad for using this sound, but mix-wise, I think if it's gonna be there, it's gonna be there loud. All right, so it's done. It's a pretty simple arrangement. Nothing too fancy. Nothing very smooth. Just block of this, block of that, a bit of repeat, and then it's done. I couldn't really take it in a completely different direction after the break or something, but that's okay, I think, because this track is just focused on these sounds, and I think it works pretty well. Gotta check the mix. I'm not going to use any fancy plugins or anything, just some EQs, maybe a little compression here and there, just to fix it up, and then play you guys the final result. But before we do that, a little conclusion to this project. I think it was a pretty interesting way to work. Would I use Loopcloud again in other projects that I do in the future? I definitely would. Obviously, I prefer making my own riffs, my own melodies and rhythms and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes you just get stuck on a hi-hat or whatever and spend half an hour just tweaking that and looking for a rhythm and changing it to a different hi-hat. And that's all kind of stuff that's not really important. And having software like Loopcloud to just try out some rhythms and different stuff that are already pre-made, even if I don't end up using them, but, you know, having them available as inspiration or as reference, it can save you a whole lot of time. And that's worth a lot when working in the studio. And I can imagine if you're stuck with a writer's block or something, that you can just, I mean, there's so much in there. You can just look through all the sounds and riffs. And even if you don't end up using it that way, or even if you end up cutting it up, putting effects on it, it's still, you know, it gets you going and it gets you creative. And for those kind of things, it's just a gold mine. And I really recommend checking it out yourself. And oh yeah, one last thing about the track. I did end up, in fact, pitching it up to F. I pitched up the bass line and the sounds in the intro, the xylophone and the MIDI I played for the pad, pitched that up as well, one semi, just because the mix worked better in F. I liked it in E. It was deep, you know, but the mix just, I couldn't get the mix to sit right. And then when I tuned it to F, it was just a lot easier to get a better balance out of it. So all that said and done, it's been a really interesting project, and thank you to the guys at Loopcloud for challenging me to do this and for giving me the opportunity. And with no further ado, here's the track. See you next time, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.